Okay, Vicky, I brought the Visualiser on here now because I want to show you how we can combine the Visualiser with the CenS and the ClassCom response system, and I'm going to need your help here if that's okay, and I'm going to ask you to do a few things.
I'll be your very useful assistant.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to imagine first of all that we're in, say, an English lesson, a literacy lesson, and we're going to use this piece of text. So if you could place that underneath the Visualiser for me.
Now this is all on and just in its standard mode,
it's just
nothing special.
No, switched on underneath there. All right.
Okay.
And because I'm using it with the laptop, I'm going to be working from the desktop of the laptop using the software that's supplied with it called VideoCap. So I'm going to open that up there, and you can see that image there.
It always amazes me just how the autofocusing, just how sharp everything is.
It's perfectly clear, isn't it?
And you don't have to touch a button.
No, it just does it all
automatically.
There we go. So there's our text. If we can just sort of straighten that up. There we go.
Always the teacher if you just straighten it up.
And obviously I could make that as big as I wanted to if I was projecting the whole class. And what we're going to do now is ask a question about that text. So I'm a literacy teacher. I've got lots of examples of text, and I want to involve my audience in what I'm doing in today's lesson. So with this particular poem that we've got here, as you can see, the instruction that we've got with the poem is that the poet is using the sounds of words to depict a peaceful moonlit night, and is asking us to choose the types of words that are making that happen within the poem. So you can see I've got CenS opened up on the right hand side here, and what I'm going to do is now ask a spontaneous question and ask everybody to give me an example of a word. So what I'm going to do is ask them, go to the text option here and then click done, and then say start responding. So with your handset now, can you pick out a word from that poem that you think is a good example of depicting a peaceful moonlit night from there? And we're going to ask other people to do the same thing. And again,
it's like using a mobile phone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
It's the same sort of texting texting format.
So we can press delete if we get it wrong.
Actually, this is the thing, actually being stood next to the teacher.
Yeah. And if we can ask some other people to do the same, and as people are responding, we can see their numbers are appearing. Remember, we've got to press send when we've finished.
Press send.
We can see the answer on the screen on the handset there, and we can send that in. And when we've got enough responses from the people who are texting answers in, we'll show what we've got. Because as a teacher, what I'm interested in is what you're looking at now, the words. And obviously I could go around and ask each person individually, but that's going to take a while, and people have got to sit there while I do it, and they're going to switch off and not be involved in my lesson. If you're all now using the handsets and throwing the words in at me using the handset as a communication device, when I'm ready, I'm going to now press the graph button, and that's going to give me all the words that you've put in. So I've got moonlit, I've got night, I've got starry, and I've got various options there. So that's giving me an idea. Are we on the right lines? Are they picking out the right kinds of words from this text? Or do I need to do a bit of further explanation here? I'm just asking you to give a response to me from that text. I mean, I could be asking anything. I could be asking you to pick out the nouns, the adjectives, certain types of punctuation. It doesn't matter. The purpose of this is to show how I can use a piece of text on the Visualiser with the CenS over the top as a teaching tool.
Do you find that children, especially maybe late primary, early secondary, really get to grips with this because they're so used to, in our culture, the texting and the mobile phones, that they actually find it very, very interactive?
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah, they get very excited. They like using them. They come to the lesson and say, oh, we're using the response system today, because they're going to be involved in the lesson and their responses are going to count. Let me give you another example of that. Let's close that down and come out of there, stop that response for a minute. And if we can take that book off there for a moment, and we're going to move off now to a science lesson, for instance. So we'll put that to one side, and we're going to bring on some pieces of kit here where maybe we're doing some work on electric circuits today.
It just is amazing how quickly it focuses and how sharp.
There we go. We could also, with the components underneath the Visualiser, ask our audience to name the parts. Maybe I've got a flower underneath there, or some kind of a scientific device or component, and I want you to, I'm testing your knowledge of the vocabulary and the words that are using to describe it. So in this case, for instance, with the battery, if I wanted to ask you what that component was, I could be pointing to it, or you could be pointing to it, or I could annotate it on my whiteboard, and then again I could use the spontaneous question tool with the texting option to say, can you now text in the name of this particular object? So again, we're using the response system with the Visualiser and in combination with each other. And the third example I want to use here with this, if we can take that off there for a moment, and we'll put that back. Let's imagine we're in a numeracy lesson this time. And again, we're going to use, this time it's a past paper, past exam paper. Maybe we're doing some revision today in our maths class. I don't want to go to the time and expense of taking this to the photocopier and copying 32 copies. So I'm just going to place it on the Visualiser. And we could enlarge that up actually if we wanted to, make it a little bit bigger by pressing that button there. That's it. So we'll enlarge that up so everybody can see what's going on during the lesson.
And again, it's just so quickly refocuses and it's so sharp.
There we go. So you can see the question is, what's 10% of 84? So again, I'm going to go onto here and ask a spontaneous question. So I'm going to go onto there and I'm going to say, right, spontaneous question, and I'm going to obviously be asking for a numeric response from you this time, and I'm going to click done and then start responding. And then when the toolbar comes up, you're going to put what you think the answer is, and everybody in the class is going to do the same. And then you're going to press send your answer in. And when I've got enough answers there, I'm going to press the graphing option again and see what responses I've got. Brilliant, we've all got it right. But that again is a nice test for me. I'm using the Visualiser then with a past paper, and I could say that's fine, okay, let's move on and try another question now and see how we get on with that one. So rather than you having to write things down with a pencil and paper, you're just going to use the response system to give me a response back. And it's going to save me time, and it's going to, you know, we can record the answers when we finish.
And as you say, it's saving money with photocopying.
Yeah.
It's means you don't have to recycle paper. You can just use this. It goes out to the whole class.
Yeah.
And then it's done.
That's done. Yeah.